Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks.
My name is Helen Grace Whitaker. I'm from Savannah, Georgia, and if there's one thing I've learned in my 72 years, it's this: you can love someone with your whole heart and still not be enough for them. But that doesn't mean you're not enough. It means they never deserved you in the first place. You ungrateful coward. I screamed, my voice shaking the walls of the quiet, coastal hotel suite we'd rented for our golden anniversary. 50 years, Richard. 50 damn years, and this is how you choose to end it? He didn't flinch. He didn't even look ashamed. Richard calmly zipped up the last suitcase, as if my world wasn't crumbling 2 feet away from him. He stood by the door in his tailored beige jacket, one hand on the handle, the other holding his damn phone like it mattered more than the vows we made at 22. I guess you have everything now, don't you? I snapped, trembling from the weight of decades collapsing all at once. Your lake house. Your Porsche. Your little retirement fund. And your assistant, what's her name again? Oh right. Caitlin. The one who calls you, sir, in public and baby behind my back. That made him pause. Just for a moment. Then he chuckled. At least Caitlin listens. At least she doesn't nag me every time I breathe. I felt the sting like a slap across the face. I nagged you, Richard. I held our family together while you climbed your little corporate ladder. I was the one who paid off the mortgage when your stupid investment failed. I packed your mother's pills every damn week while you played golf. He rolled his eyes, bored. Here we go again. Oh no. You don't get to shrug this off, I snapped, stepping between him and the door. You don't get to walk away from 50 years like it's a parking ticket. I'm not walking away from 50 years, he said, looking me dead in the eyes. I'm walking away from you. My knees went weak. But I didn't let myself fall. Not this time. Oh, you'll regret this, I whispered. You think you're trading in old for new, comfort for excitement. But you're not walking into love, Richard. You're walking into loneliness. He laughed again. You sound pathetic, Helen. And just like that, a switch flipped inside me. Pathetic? No, sweetheart. I was patient. I was loyal. I was everything you begged me to be, until now. I straightened up, wiped the tears off my cheek, and stepped back from the door. You know what, Richard? Go. Run off with your 29-year-old secretary. Just remember something when you're popping your fancy champagne in that stolen beach condo. He tilted his head. Remember that I built this life. I managed your money. I signed every damn paper. That house you just bought. It's in my name. That account she thinks you're going to spend on her. I froze it 2 days ago. His smirk fell. I leaned in close. Surprise. If you've ever been underestimated, pushed aside, or traded in like yesterday's news, let this be your sign. Don't beg to stay in places where you're only tolerated. Rise. Reclaim. Reinvent. Because sometimes, losing them, is how you finally find you. Watch till the end, because this story doesn't end with heartbreak. It ends with power. Because I knew the day would come when love wouldn't be enough. So I chose something stronger, self-respect. 2 months later, I launched something I'd never even dreamed of doing at my age, an online platform for women over 50 rebuilding their lives after betrayal. We called it Golden Phoenix. Because we weren't old. We were reborn. As my name started gaining attention online, articles, podcast invites, even a small speaking event, I got one more message from Richard. A text this time. Are you really doing all this just to get back at me? I didn't reply. Because it wasn't about him anymore. It never was. Let this be a reminder. Never underestimate a woman who kept the house warm, the finances steady, and the family fed, even when she was empty inside. Because once that woman stops pouring into you, she starts pouring into herself. And that's when she becomes unforgettable. It was a Wednesday when I saw his name on my caller ID again. 3 months. That's how long it took. 3 months of silence, of legal notices, of frozen accounts and unraveling lies. 3 months for his little fantasy to burn to the ground. And now, he wanted a conversation. I didn't pick up. Not at first. But when he left the third voicemail, with a voice so small I barely recognized it, something inside me shifted. Not forgiveness. Not pity. Just curiosity. So I called him back. "Helen," he said, like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. I didn't say anything. He paused. Then, I made a mistake. Still, I said nothing. I thought I was looking for something different. Something exciting. But she left you, I finished for him. Silence. Didn't she? She said I was too old. Too bitter. She wanted someone with potential. I almost laughed. But I didn't. Because I had been that woman once, years ago. The one who believed potential was everything. Now I knew better. Now I was the potential. We met at a park bench a week later. Public space. Neutral ground. I wasn't meeting him out of hope. I was meeting him out of closure. He looked smaller. Not physically, but spiritually. Like the man who once swaggered into retirement parties and fundraiser galas had been replaced by a weathered shell. He handed me a small box. "Your bracelet. I found it in the drawer. Thought you might want it back." It was the pearl chain he gave me on our 25th anniversary, the one I wore every Christmas until I stopped feeling festive. I took it. Not because I wanted the memory. But because I earned every gem on that chain. "I've been thinking," he said softly. "Maybe we could try again. You and me." I turned to him slowly. "You think you can walk out of a 50-year marriage, humiliate me, betray me, undress our legacy in front of a girl who's half our age, and then just start over?" He looked down, ashamed. "I just miss you, Helen." "You don't miss me," I said. "You miss the woman who packed your lunch and picked up your mother's prescriptions and made you feel like a man. You don't miss me. You miss the version of me that tolerated your mediocrity." He blinked. I kept going. "Well, that woman's gone. She died the night you walked out that door." I stood up. "I'm not your home anymore, Richard. I'm my own damn country now." He begged then. Not loud. Not theatrical. But the quiet, desperate pleading of a man who realized too late what he'd thrown away. "Please, just dinner. One more night. One more conversation." I stared at him for a long time. "You want one more night?" I asked. He nodded. "Fine," I said. "But you won't like how it ends." We met that Friday. My restaurant. My table. But I wasn't alone. I brought a photographer. A journalist friend. And a few women from Golden Phoenix. Because that night wasn't about reconciliation. It was about reclamation. As the server poured our wine, I lifted my glass and smiled at Richard. "To new beginnings," I said. He looked confused. And then I spoke. To the group. To the room. To myself. I told them everything. The story of the woman who gave up her dreams to be a good wife. Who washed the dishes while he got promoted. Who hid her tears in guest bathrooms and charity dinners. And then I told them about the woman I became. The one who survived. The one who rebuilt. The one who now helps thousands of women across the country remember who the hell they are. Richard sat frozen, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. He realized, too late, this wasn't a reunion. It was a rebirth. And he wasn't invited. Because here's the truth. Some men only realize your worth once they've tested your breaking point. But when a woman survives betrayal, she doesn't go back. She rises higher. She builds a life so big, so bright, so blinding, that the ones who once ignored her can't even look her in the eye. They say some women fade after 50. That we become invisible, quiet, irrelevant. But what they don't tell you is this. Some of us just needed 50 years to finally stop living for everyone else. And once we do, we don't fade. We ignite. It started with a single article. A journalist friend from the dinner, Lisa, asked if she could write about my story. Just a small piece for a local women's magazine. I thought nothing of it. I told her the truth. All of it. How I managed the money behind the scenes. How I'd spent my life loving a man who didn't know what to do with a loyal woman. How I'd lost myself, and then found something far more powerful. A voice. The article went live on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday, it had 10,000 shares. By Friday, my inbox had over 100 messages. Women from Iowa to New York. Retirees. Single mothers. Widows. Young wives quietly suffocating behind smiles and casseroles. They all said the same thing. You told my story. You made me feel seen. How did you survive? How can I start over too? And that's when I realized something bigger than revenge or redemption. This wasn't just my story anymore. This was a movement. So I got to work. I turned Golden Phoenix into more than just a blog. We built a hotline. Support groups. Virtual meetups. Webinars on financial literacy, legal advice, emotional recovery, taught by women, for women. I wasn't a therapist or a lawyer. But I knew what it felt like to be left with nothing but your name and your pain. So I gave those women a place to land. A place to rise. By month 6, we were in 3 states. By year 1, we had donors, sponsors, volunteers. CNN called. Then Oprah's team. And me? I stood on stages I never imagined for women like me. Gray roots. Wrinkled hands. A heart once shattered and sewn back together with fire. I wasn't trying to impress anyone anymore. I wasn't asking to be chosen. I had chosen myself. And yet, there was still one message in my inbox I hadn't opened. Richard. Subject line, I saw the video. I hovered over it for days. Weeks, maybe. But I didn't click it. Because the thing about closure is, sometimes, the door doesn't need to be slammed shut. Sometimes, you just walk past it without looking back. 1 year after the divorce was finalized, I held our first National Women's Retreat, right in Savannah. My home. My battlefield. 500 women showed up. All ages. All stories. Some heartbroken. Some healing. All powerful. At the closing dinner, they asked if I'd say a few words. I looked out over the candlelit tables and said, I spent 50 years being someone's wife. Someone's mother. Someone's better half. And I loved those roles. I did. But no one ever asked who I was when I wasn't serving someone else. So let me say this clearly, especially for the women just beginning their climb. You are not too old to dream again. You are not too broken to heal. And you are never too far gone to rewrite your story. The fire that was meant to burn you down can still be the one that lights your way forward. They stood. Applauded. Some cried. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like someone's shadow. I felt like a lighthouse. I walked back to my hotel that night alone. Peacefully. With soft music in my earbuds and stars above the Spanish moss trees. That's when I finally opened Richard's email. I watched your speech. I'm proud of you. I didn't deserve you. I just wanted you to know. I see it now. And I'm sorry. No ask. No manipulation. Just truth. And for the first time, I smiled at a message from him. Because it didn't break me. It just confirmed what I already knew. I won. Not because I took revenge. Not because I became famous. But because I found myself. And this time, I wasn't leaving me behind. They'll say you're too old. Too late. Too broken. But the truth is, every woman has a flame inside her, even if it's buried under decades of dust. You just have to stop waiting for permission to light it. Because once you do, they don't get to leave you anymore. You leave them behind. And you build something legendary. 2 years. That's how long it had been since I heard the click of Richard's suitcase on the hotel floor. Since I stood frozen in our anniversary suite, watching the man I once built a life with throw it away like a grocery receipt. 2 years since I looked in the mirror and said, never again. And now, I was preparing for the biggest speech of my life. They called it the Phoenix Summit. Over 2,000 women from 30 different states. Single moms. Grandmothers. Divorcees. Women who lost everything, and then found themselves. We booked the largest convention center in Atlanta. Banners with my face hung from the escalators. And even though I told them not to, they gave me a standing ovation before I ever opened my mouth. Backstage, I took a deep breath. I was no longer Helen the housewife. No longer Mrs. Whitaker. I was a name on a best-selling book. A face on a magazine cover. A voice millions of women listened to every week. But more than that, I was finally me. Entirely, unapologetically, joyfully, me. I walked on stage to thunder. Then silence. And I began. I was once left on my 50th wedding anniversary. No note. No warning. Just a suitcase, a smirk, and a younger woman with tighter skin and looser boundaries. But let me tell you something he never expected. He didn't leave behind a broken woman. He unleashed one. The room roared. And I kept going. You want to know the best part? It wasn't that I froze his accounts. Or took back the house. Or started over. The best part was learning how powerful I'd been all along. Ladies, they called it abandonment. I call it deliverance. Afterward, the line to greet me stretched past the elevators. Women hugging me. Crying. Laughing. I signed copies of my book, After the Fire, A Woman's Guide to Rising Again, until my hand cramped. And then, as the room began to clear, someone stepped out of the shadows near the far wall. She was tall. Young. Nervous. And she looked familiar. Caitlin. The woman Richard left me for. Her eyes were glossy, mascara smudged like she hadn't slept well in weeks. She clutched her purse like a lifeline. And for a moment, I expected rage. Or guilt. Or at least shame. But what I got was something else entirely. Hi, she said quietly. I didn't think you'd remember me. I tilted my head. Hard to forget a tornado in heels. She smiled, broken, not smug. I deserved that. Silence fell between us. She looked down. He left me too. I nodded slowly. I figured. She swallowed hard. He said I was too much. That I didn't respect him. That I wasn't what he thought I'd be. I sighed. He told me I nagged. That I wasn't fun anymore. That I didn't listen. Her eyes widened. He said the exact same things. I stepped closer. That's because it was never about us, Caitlin. It was always about him. She blinked rapidly, then whispered, I thought if I took your place, I'd feel powerful. But all I feel now is stupid. No, I said, placing a hand gently on her arm. You're not stupid. Just young. And now you're wiser. She looked up. You're not the villain in my story, Caitlin. You were just another chapter. And I'm not stuck there anymore. That night, she stayed for the rest of the summit. Sat in the second row. Took notes during our panel on healing after manipulation. And when she left, she hugged me. Not out of pity. But out of understanding. And maybe even, respect. That's the thing about pain. You think it'll destroy you. But if you let it, it teaches you. Shapes you. And then? It lets you lead others out of their own dark. 2 weeks later, I got an email from her. Subject line, thank you. She was starting a new job. Moved to Austin. Joined a women's mentorship program. The last line made me tear up. I'm not trying to be anyone's trophy anymore. I'm trying to be me. Like you. So here's the final lesson, if you've made it this far. They can take your title. They can take your status. They can even walk out with your heart in their hand. But what they can't take is the fire you build when you finally choose yourself. That fire? That becomes your voice. Your platform. Your freedom. And when you rise from it, they won't recognize the woman who stands in your place. But you will. You'll look in the mirror and say, there you are. Welcome back.